Right, hi everyone. This is a recording of the robin, a revamp of the one I've done before. We're going to do watercolours, watercolour pencil, and the nice little graphite pencils at the end, whichever you want. And you can tweak this and make this into something else. It was originally based on autumn, within autumn leaves, but we can make them into a little Christmas robin. But I will be going through all three of those for you, so you can choose and then add your little bit to it if you wish. Okay, so we are working on portrait, and we're going to do a system here with numbers. So from the center here, you're going to go 10 dots, 1 centimeter apart, back to center, out to the right, 2 dots, 1 centimeter apart, back to center, down 1.5 dots, 1.5 dots, 1.5 centimeters, back to center, and out to the left, 7 dots, 1 centimeter apart. Okay, so once you've got that on, so this is your 1.5 here, this is your 2, this is your 10th dot up here, and this is your 4th dot here. And this is basically what you're starting to create, is this nice big round body. We will change it and move it around, but it's just to get a shape from there to start with that we can start to work with to make him look nice and round and Christmassy, robin-like. Let me just move my lights around. Ooh. Light keeps changing. Okay. So we're going to pop his tail. So the red bit was we've already done. He's got a nice, beautiful round body. And from center here, you're going to go up to the 5th centimeter marker. You're just going to go out where you've got his body and mark a dot. So just get your ruler up to the 5 centimeter marker and take your ruler out and just do yourself a dot on his body here. That's where you're going to start his tail. You're going to come all the way down to the 8 centimeter marker down here. I don't think I've given you one, but you're going to measure down 8 centimeters and draw yourself a line across. And that is where his tail is going to end. Now this is the 1, this is a 2, this is a 3, this is a 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can see where it comes down here through the 7, nice little point. And this is like 1 centimeter here. I can draw some lines across. 1, 2, 3. You can see it just comes below the 1 centimeter, goes up through the 6.5. And this is your 2 centimeter marker here. Comes through the 6, down to 1, 2, 3, down to the 3, goes right back up to 5 centimeters, comes down again with his wing, down to the 1, 2, 3, all the way down past the 3, you can see, and then it swings up through the 4 and finishes at about the 1 centimeter marker and 2 there. That's your first bit of his wing. And then you can just choose a part here. If you just get your ruler and slide it down to the 2 centimeter marker, and you get a point here on that tail you've already created. You start to do his bottom half of his tail. It comes all the way down to the 8, round. Just draw what you can see on the screen there. Create his little tail here. It goes up just past the 3 and just finishes before that other one there. And that is the bottom of his tail. Okay, his eye. So don't worry about his beak at the moment. What I also want you to do is we're going to put his eye on, but first of all, I just want to, because you might have a bit of a jump in his round body, so just try and make that a bit smoother. You might just have to take out that line, and we can do that in the end bit as well. But we'll sort that out in a minute if you don't want to do that now. Now that's your 8 centimetre marker there for his eye, and it sits just on the 8 centimetre marker dot, right butted against the measurement line there. And this is your 1 centimetre marker up here, so it's not quite 1 centimetre marker, so it's quite a small area you're working on. This is the 8 centimetre dot, so it just kind of sits quite happily in that area there. So draw his eye in. There's a picture of a bigger version of his eye there. And once you've got that on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On the 9th, I'm going to draw on the 9th centimetre marker here. I'm going to give you an area to pop his beak on. So 9. And you're going to come just out from his eye. So I would say, whatever you're drawing on his eye, it's about halfway. So just take your ruler. Once you've got your eye on, just halve it, like so. And just draw out about 0.5 centimetre. Draw yourself a dot, and then pop his beak on. And then you can rub out that line there if you no longer need that line there. And just draw the beak, as you can see on the screen there. I'll rub out all my pencil marks that are on here. It's basically triangles. Triangle there, half triangle, triangle there, it comes round. So snap onto each other. So just draw what you can see on the screen there. Once you've got all that on, we just need to tweak his head because you might find it goes in at an angle like this. We just need to make him nice and round. So just take it around and make him a nice round head. And you can see where his little red, we just need to do a little, I've put it in red felt tip, but we're going to do that in a minute. It's just so you can see the areas you're going to work from. It's just above his eye. So just going to go about, I would say, 3 mil at about a 45-degree angle above his eye and create this shape here and this little red breast here. Just choose an area. You can use your eye because you can see where that ended, where we did it initially. So it kind of just sits just past that. And then you got this bottom line here. I want you to take that further up. So the red bits you are actually adding in, not obviously the red felt tip. Then you're going to put his feet on. So on the 3rd, 4th, this is the 5th, 6th, 7th. So his feet, you're just literally going to have to draw them on because they're so tiny. Sit at a 45-degree angle. Now you can sit him on anything, but in my picture I put him on rocks. So once you've got his feet on, you can do the first rock, comes out about 7, and then you just keep adding rocks on. They're just whatever you like really, a little round one under here and then another big one on here. We should eventually, once you've tidied it up, have something that resembles that. Obviously we're going to make him fluffy because he's a bird. So all those really harsh lines up here, we're just going to make him a little bit fluffy. The one that I'm going to colour in a moment is fluffy. Now the one that I'm going to paint has autumn leaves on him and some rocks, as you can see. So I put him on rocks and I put some little autumn leaves coming out of his mouth there. So if you just want to have a look at that and decide if that's what you want to do. I just made his little head a little bit fluffy. So basically, I'll show you where I'm at, what we need to paint. So that is what we're going to be at, and I'm going to paint him. So you can see I've made his head a little bit fluffy with the pen, and this is the pen part I've penned him in. He's ready to rock and roll for that. Now, if you are not doing the autumn leaves, I'll just pop up the other picture you can add. Now I just added, he's still on rocks, but I just added some mistletoe. And I added some mistletoe and I added some holly on this one here. And they will be used to do with colour pencils. So feel free to add what you want in its beak and stuff. We'll tweak all these little bits around here because we've got this little red bit to do. So that's the top of his head. We'll add that in because we'll just colour that with our pencils. So you can put in his mouth what you like, and you can put under his feet exactly what you like, really. That's the basis of the robin done. But I will be, as I said, we're going to paint this one. So we just need to get that ready to paint. And I shall be using, so we'll be doing this one first. I'm going to colour in with paint. So we all need some wax with this on there. Right, so with watercolour paints, I'm just going to put my wax resist on there before I forget, as I usually do. So I use an artist wax resist, but you can use little kiddies white wax crayon, they work just as well. So my light on my picture is coming from the right hand side, so I need to just put some little wax bits on there to highlight the lights. I'm just going to put some on the leaves and then just some on his little tummy here and create some feathers. Then on the front of the rocks, I'm going to put some. I think I put some on his head up there. There's not much, and I put some on that leaf there because that will be hitting the light. But we don't need too much. That's all we're going to do. Now, the colours I have used. So you'll need a kitchen towel and water. And so we need a red, obviously. I used Payne's grey with a bit of indigo, burnt umber, burnt sienna. But I'll go through those as we do them. That it needs to be at this stage with your pen inked in. It needs to be a waterproof pen. We need to be at that stage when you start painting. So I'm going to add in, just going to dampen up my indigo, Payne's grey, and the brightest red I've got. And then my burnt sienna, because it's kind of a rusty brown, and then my burnt umber, which is a brown. But feel free to tweak it and use whatever colours you want to use in the colouring. And then we had a stick. I will be using a stick to create a little bit of texture as well. So let's get his little red bit on here. And try, and when you do like paint fur or anything, and all like to almost paint in the direction of the fur itself. That kind of always gives that texture. So I'm going to layer this up so we just get a nice little red colour going. So we will add a different shade of red. I think I'll put a Azalean crimson on there, but we'll just layer this up. Need to get colour on there basically and see how it starts to look. So get a load of colour on here. And then because he's like feather light, you want to kind of flick the feather when you come to the outer edges. Create his little feathers with your brush if you can. Nice little areas. They kind of, don't forget, they kind of blend into each other. I'll go over his head and they will blend in to each other. So I'm just going to go in with a bit of burnt umber for the darker areas of red. down where his beak is. You just need to think where it might be a bit darker. Add a bit of variation because I think one colour looks a bit too much. And you've got your little stick that you can use if you want. Make it more feather-like. Don't press too hard, it will scrape the paper. And then you can also go in with a bit of Azanian crimson if you want, or mix it red with your Azanian crimson, so you've got different shade of red. Different shades of red is quite nice. I want a darker red, that's what I'm after. I might need to go in with burnt umber a little bit. Yeah. Tiny bit of burnt umber makes the red a little bit darker, but try and work with the way the little feathers go. As I said, I'm sort of trying to create a bit of texture with my paintbrush as I go. So I'm using a tiny bit of burnt umber to get a bit of a darker red in there that you can probably see starting to happen. So it's cool. And then we're going to go in at the top here. I'm actually going to put just a bit of water, very slight, it's a bit red, that's all right. On this part here, I'm going to go in with my Payne's Grey and burnt umber very lightly. I've got some wax there. So it's kind of a mixture of, it's got a bit of rusty colour. So burnt umber and the burnt sienna, the kind of colours I'm mixing in to make his feathers. And a bit of Payne's Grey at the front there. I'm just trying to take that down. So he's got this little head bit. I'm going to go in with my stick wherever that's gone. I'm going with a bit of Payne's Grey, or indigo actually. Let's have a look. Maybe it's indigo I want to use. To get a bit better from here. And you can go with your smaller brushes. Where's one of my smaller ones? One a teeny tiny one. A little bit of a wispy. Probably. This is a bit of indigo. So you just kind of mix your colours up, whichever you are happy with. So I've kind of got a bit burnt umber. I just want to make it dark. A bit burnt umber and burnt sienna, kind of working with those colours, and then a bit of indigo for the grey. If you haven't got grey, obviously you can use your Payne's Grey. It's not a problem. And it's kind of, they kind of all obviously, his face all just blend into one colour. And his little tummy is, I'm going to use indigo. So I'm just going to put some water on. And use a bit of indigo. With a bit of Payne's Grey. Oh, that's better. And then go into some water. So there's not much paint on there at the moment. I can add more if I want. I just want to get some colour on his chest. And then see what happens. So I'll just take it up to the red and then let that naturally kind of blend eventually. I just want to get some colour on there, and obviously it's darker on this bit here. So I'm just going to add a bit of darker colour. A bit of Payne's Grey, I think. So working with the shape of the body, you can see I'm following the shape of the body with my brush. So you kind of almost create feathers whilst you're painting. And you can go in with your little stick and spread it out a bit if you want. Little lines. And then this sort of back part of him is the burnt sienna and burnt umber colours. This is burnt sienna. Actually, I'm going to put water on and do it watery. I think it works better. So wet and wet, basically. But feel free to do it the other way if you like it more controlled. But I think it mixes nicer. Just try not to mix these two at the moment. Doesn't matter if they do eventually, but just get your colour on that. I'll put the light colour on first, and then we'll add some burnt umber, and then so this is burnt sienna, and then I'll add burnt umber and then a bit of indigo, I think. And that should be my. So just think how they layer up. So that would be dark here. So I'll go in and add a bit of the darker colour because they're kind of sitting on top of each other. So just think about that when you're painting it, how everything sits. So if it sits on top of something else, it'll be slightly darker underneath. I'm just getting those, or just buffing them up, but it doesn't matter if they blend in now. Can get those to blend in a little bit. Yep. Just add some burnt umber. I think it's probably still got some indigo on it, but that's fine. So that sits under there, so that's a bit darker. Same with that one there. With that one there. Just play around with what colours you like, really. It just needs to be brown, some browns and some greys. Some brown under there. Just start to kind of bring it all together and make it kind of float into each other eventually, like red's now floating into the rest of it. And that's absolutely fine to do that. Build that up slowly but surely. That's great. So just building up the colour. You don't have to do it in one go. Just play around with it until you start to get the colours you want. It doesn't have to be the same as mine. Everyone's got different paint palettes as well, so sometimes they can work a bit differently. So now I'm just going to try and start to blend in. So I'm just going to go with a little damp brush, slight damp brush. Just want these colours now to kind of blend in, but not too much. Obviously, it's the same bird, it's just these little patches of colour. And you can use your stick if you want to create kind of a bit of feathery texture with them. And he's pretty much done. Use this stick to just kind of, if you've got excess paint, you can make him a little fluffy. Like that. Now, let's do the rocks and then we'll go to the leaves. Just choose whatever colours you want to do. Oh, we haven't done his little feet. They're quite quick. Just a bit of Payne's Grain burnt umber. Give him little feet. Don't overthink his feet. Very quickly. Clean your brush. Go in with some just wet on wet. And just choose your colours you want to do for your rocks. So I'll use a bit of burnt sienna on this one. Because I've got wax at the front there. That'll give me my white area at the front there. And just give them some colour, and then you can add another one. What colour shall I add? Add a bit umber, probably. And a bit of indigo. If it's darker on this side, don't forget, remember the light's coming from that side. So give it a chance to kind of mix and do it stuff, and then you can move it around with your brush and decide when to stop. That's one stone, and then let's choose. So I'm just going wet away again. Try not to let them mix though. Keep that crisp. You might want to just keep a little bit of a line there. Ooh, let's use burnt sienna. Like so. Get a bit of white at the front there. Yeah, that's where my wax is. And then just a bit of burnt umber, and that's it at the back there. So just 2 browns where the dark bit is. And then that's what I'm doing on that one. Clean my brush, just go with a slight damp brush, and just once you know that's okay, you can push that up. And then the same with the bottom one, just with water. Choose your colour. Ooh, let's go with a yellow ochre, see what happens. Going with a yellow ochre for that one. Give me yellow ochre rock. It's quite a strong colour, yellow ochre, but it's quite a nice colour. And so then it pushes the, you see there, it pushes the wax, pushes the paint off. Like so, I'll probably add a bit of burnt umber for dark, shadowy bit on this side. There we go. This way it'll just spread about. Just let the water do some of the work for you. Shadow where the rock is, and then just leave it. Don't too much. Sits on a bit of grass, which I'll just put a bit of water on here. And around, just choose. You don't have to do a bit of grass. You decide what you want to do that. My favourite, which is sap green. I usually use sap green to do any kind of grass. Try not to let it go onto the rocks until it's dry, but you can kind of work in that area, and then you can go underneath with a bit of indigo or mix well with sap green to give you that darker green that I want. You can always make it look grass-like with your stick if you want. Play around with that. Now, that's the grass, and then we've just got to pop on the leaves and then just do a bit of splattering, which I can do right at the end. So the leaves I used burnt sienna because it's autumn colours. Just get your base colour on. The light is coming from the right, and we did put a bit of wax resist on there. So it should resist some of it. So just get some colour on the leaves to start with, just the light colour of burnt sienna. And it's dark inside here because the leaf is slightly curled around. So I'm just going to get some colour on there. And then pull it out basically with some water. So that's the dark bit, and then add a bit more on here. And just build up the colour. The colours you want to use, really. I'm using burnt sienna, but feel free to, if you've got some really nice colours to add on to make them more autumn-like, feel free to do that. Let's put a bit of red in that one. That's what happens. Well, they're quite dark in there, that's what I'm after. And then just clean my brush of all that colour. Slightly damp, and then just pull it out. So it's just slightly faded. And I put wax on here. I don't think it will take any. I'll try. There you go. A little bit. A little bit. And that's released. So I'm now going to do a bit of splattering. So I'm just going to use red. But what I'm going to do is just cover up the rubble. So I've just got it down this side. Dunk it in and really get a lot of paint on. It needs a lot of paint. It needs to be watering a lot of paint. You need to hold it tight and just bang it. Bang it, bang it, bang it, bang it, bang it. Wherever you want it. You don't have to do this at all. It's just quite fun. Just do make sure you cover up your work. Now, that is the painted watercolour version, but feel free to tweak it as you like. I said, if you are using holly, you just change the leaves and do the holly. Now, so that's the painted one, and now we're going to do colour pencil one. Just bear with me while I move all my paints out the way. I'm going to bring in my coloured pencils. Now, you don't have to use my brand at all. I use Castle because they're good value and they give good colour. So these are the ones I'm going to be using. And I will, if you have them, I will read out the colours that I am actually going to be using. So you know. So I think I've probably used about, I might add some as I'm drawing because I tend to get, let's add that, but I'll try not to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I use, if you don't have Castle, I use 2 kinds of green. I used a couple of different, 3 different reds. A really kind of post-bot red, kind of a crimson red and a dark red. And then I used browns, it's dark brown, light brown, and kind of a rusty brown. Now, if you have these Castle ones, the brown one is Chinese orange, yellow ochre, and burnt umber. The reds are, what have we got here? It's signal red, vermilion, and cadmium red. And the greens are olive green and sap green. So they're the ones I used to do this. As I said, I might, you know, I add more. I'm colouring, but I think I'll be able to. So you need to have, at this stage, I didn't use pen on my colour pencil one, but it doesn't matter if you have. It doesn't really matter. You can just colour in. So I just need to rub that out. Little pencil marks all over that. So I just pen design in, and then I'm going to work on the rest with pencil. And we're going to build up the colour using the pencil. So we're going to go in and we create the shape of his feathers by using our strokes. We're going to create his eyes. So we're going to flick it up like his little feathers. I'm just going to build that up slowly and come out here. So we've got the little beard, so we know where we've got to do it from. So just get some base colour on, and obviously it all comes from the eye here. And work down. As you're creating his feathers with the pencil, basically. Get your base colour on to start with. That's it. Keep going. And also it's dark around his eye here. I'm not going to put water with these. I'm not going to charge them up. They're literally going to stay as watercolour pencils because I love the vibrance of watercolour pencils. Also, you can get art colour pencils, but they're quite expensive. And these are actually good to draw. So I'm just going to go in. I'm going to build it up with another colour. So we've got some variations of colour going in there. Pressing a bit harder now to get sort of a darker colour over the top. Just remember where the dark is, under his eyes, under his beak, where the shadows will be when you're creating your picture. I'm going with the, what's this one? Signal red. So this is a red. Very red. Let's see. Now, to get a bit darker on that red, I actually go in with a little bit of I go in with a bit of burnt umber. I'll go in, get that darker. Actually, I think I need Payne's grey. I need to find that in the book. I'll find that in a bit. Okay, that's kind of a little red breast. And we can build that up. We can change it and make it go into the other one. Just looking for a grey if you're wondering what I'm doing in the background. There we go. There he is. Davy's grey. Now, there's a little chest here. I use the grey colour. It's called Davy's grey. So we're going to put in, so you're following the strokes of these coming. That's it. Giving them a little texture. These feathers. I'm going to do it up here as well. This is the base colour. I'm going to work off this and add some burnt umber. So how it goes down. Let's come down. I'm going to choose my burnt umber here, so I want that dark. Yeah, so give some dark. There's a little bit dark under there. So I'm following his body. So just follow his body. All you need to do. And then the top bit here will start to come down. And there's burnt umber. Now one more burnt umber when I've changed colours. Zoom. So you're just working around the robin, the same as did with watercolours, but you're using a watercolour pencil. Just not losing and creating the texture with your the strokes of your pencil rather than the brush or the stick that we used earlier. And obviously this is dark over here. Let's get some colour on him to start with. And then I'm going to go in with some grey. So I'm actually going to use a pencil, an actual 3B pencil. Get some darker colour under here. A little bit down there. And put black. It's like 72 colours. It's quite. There we go. Is it called black or it's called ivory black? There we go. I wonder what that does. Nice colour. Good difference. So that's well, I'm just going with this where these feathers are. Give a bit of definition. So I told you I'd pull out more colours. I'm going to go with some brown in a minute. Just want to get some dark on here. Through there. Right, let's get some rusty colour going. Let's get some variations of that brown. These top feathers, his head. I've got the Chinese orange at the moment. So there's a bit of a red colour coming out. Well, it's looking like orange to me. It gives some different variations in his feathers, so it's not all one boring brown, basically. Because he isn't really, bless him. Pretty bad. And it's easy for everyone to just assume he's green. We're going to give some yellow ochre, the other shade of. It's a lighter brown, really. start to blend those in. She's just working backwards and forwards and back with the Davies grey now. Just want to get that. So just working backwards and forwards with the colours you've got, and just giving the little robin some texture and colour variations, but you're just kind of working slowly, building it up with your pencils as you go. That's all we were doing. And then go back and do my red. I want to come over this now. It's grey that I put on. I want to come over this here. Now, got that on there, so blend that all in a bit. Dark. Yeah, and actually, I think I even used a purple. Pretty sure I did. Bringing that in. That's the colour. There's a colour on here that I couldn't work out what it is, but actually, I sometimes do these and I can never remember. Actually, this dark bit here, I actually use purple, which is really good if you're using red. So use a purple, get some dark. So we're going to go and use this beak, needs some pencil. So let's go down with pencil. Needs to be a bit darker. Lighter. A bit darker. This one white in his eye as well. A bit bright. And his little legs are just like a. You choose what colour you like. Put their number. On that dark on that side, and the same with the rocks. I mean, whatever you've stood him on, you don't have to done rocks. You've done what you can do, whatever you like. But the idea is to get him fluffy. Use your pencil to really fluff him up. When you see robins fluff themselves up, they're lovely and cute. So the idea is just to keep building up the pencils. You know, you can see me going backwards and forwards, and I'm putting little strokes in, so I don't lose that kind of texture of his feathers until I've got something I'm happy with. And obviously you'll decide, you'll make your decision when to stop on yours as well. Just remember it's the light's coming from the right hand side, so when you're doing everything, just try and remember that. Things on top of each other look darker. That's what you need to remember. The fluffier the better. I always think with robins, you can't make them too fluffy. I might go back to that. Actually, I'm quite happy with him. And then the rocks. I'm just going to turn my pencils. I like to work with it on the side, so I get it. I don't work with it like that. Like that, if I want to cover a vaster area, and then do it. It's really quick. Turn it on this side. And the rock on the left-hand side is darker, so you just leave. I've got no wax of this because I don't need any wax of this because it won't, basically. So that's the first one. And, you know, add different color variations of colour. Oh, I picked up red. That's all right. Let's use red. Makes it look darker on that side. That's cool. Under his feet. That's rock number one. Let's use, what colour is that? Burnt umber. On this side, it's a good idea to have these all nice and sharpened, I will say. And do blunt quite quickly. So hard, press hard on this side and lightly pressure as you go towards the right hand side of the rock. And it makes it lighter. And you can see. It's just just trying to control my light a bit better. Let's see. Under there, because I'm sitting on top of that, so it needs to be a bit darker. Under there, because he's sitting on top of him. So it's just play around with the pressure on your pencil to get different variations in the tone of your pencil. You don't have to work sideways, you can work this way if you want to. I prefer that way. It's quicker. But you decide how you want to do that. And obviously if that's in on top of that one, that's darker. Just give it a little bit of shadow. Let's just use this one. Or whatever this one is, yellow ochre. Oh, it's quite a nice rock colour. That's it. That's on the side here. It's dark under there because he's sat on top of him. And just lighten the pressure on your pencil as you go towards the light source, which is on the right hand side. You can use one colour or you can use a few. I'm just going to leave that yellow correction at the bottom there. Like that. So you put some greens. I think I've got this is sap green, or that's dark under there. Put some green. Maybe you want to do it. You can do squirrels, you can do grass, like so. I'm going to do that out front. Just you don't have to think it, you can put what you like, you can sit the robin. This is where your imagination is literally your limitation. You just put on there. I've had people putting on spades, watering cans, Christmas puddings, all sorts of stuff. And then we're just going to do the berries. So we'll use, what am I using? Cadmium red on the berries, so darker on the left hand side, because obviously the light source is coming from the right. And then the berries on the, this is kind of white, so I'm just going to give them a little grey tint on the left there with my Bailey's grey. Like so. And just go with the greens you've chosen. I've got one light green, dark green, olive green, sap green. And just remember where your light source is coming from. So that'll be light sources coming from the right. So these will create a little bit of a shadow. A bit darker under there, and this side would be a bit darker. Just fade it out. Just lighten the pressure on the pencil. That's all you do. You'll fade that out. So. Same, that left hand side is darker and lighten the pressure on the pencil. We will add another green. Just get some green on there to play with. Left hand side is darker, lighten the pressure as you come to the right. And then under there, the green as you come down around. So I'll just go with a different green to give some variations, a darker green if you've got. Add some different variations as you can see on there in your greens. I'm just filling in, adding a bit extra where you want the dark. You don't have to do it too much, don't need much of the dark. Just gives that different differentiation between the greens, and it's not just one colour. That's it. A bit darker if you want. That is the pencil version, coloured pencil version of the ribbon. Now we're going to do this, the pencil version. This one. So you're just literally using graphite pencils, HBs, these to create different tones in the ribbon. Yeah, what we need, basically. So this is the one I'm going to be working with. Yeah, I haven't used black ink on his eye. I have just used a pencil. But it doesn't really matter if you have. It won't affect it at all. And I've got these graphite pencils. I'm just going to work with those to ribbons. So just choose, or see if it's B's, 5 B's, and that they are dark, and the H's are a lot lighter. So I'm just going to do is eye with like a 5B, almost black. If you've done it with black, it doesn't matter. And if you've done it with pen, it also doesn't matter. Around the outside. You can use the corner again and do more. So just to go in, as I've got the darker one in my hand, I'm just going to go in and just give that beak a bit of a dark colour. So you just very hard, and then you just very lightly light the pressure on the pencil as you come towards where you want it lighter. So it's all about pencil pressure when you use just graphite pencils and stuff. So finish that off. It literally is a pressure on the pencil and how you deal with that. So I'm going to start to create his face here. I'm just going to use the same colours I've got. Because this red bit is, I would say, the darker part of his body. So we're just going to use it the same as we did with colour pencils. We're going to create the texture with the pencils. So I'm just going to flick that around and down. As it comes from the eye, comes down, little chest. And you're just going to go with different tones of pencils. That's all I'm going to do eventually. But as soon as I've got this in my hand, I'm just going to use this to start with. And like with the colour pencils, we follow the body and create the feathers with this pencil. It's about the texture. Now, the top of his head is, we'll just do this bit first, actually. I'm going to move on to that part. So I'm just going to change to a slightly lighter. I'm going to go with my HB, actually, which is lighter. I'm doing little strokes with his body, with his red breast, basically. And then around his eye, we don't want to lose that sort of dark bit. So I'm just going to create that. You can see with my pencil. Feathery bits. That's dark under there. HB is what everybody uses when having offices and everything. So that's just a pencil everyone has lying around, basically. And then we're going to go back. I'm actually going to go in and use like a 2B. So just want to do this top bit, and then I'm going to go back and do this other bit. So this one here, I'm on a 2B. I'll turn my pencil to the side. It's easier to work. And obviously the back of his head here is darker than the light. So I'm going to press a little bit harder. And as I move toward his eye, I'm going to lighten the pressure on my pencil. So I get that shading effect. You can go back and play with it a little bit more if you've lost it. Then you can add it, press a little bit harder. And then as you move towards the front, it gets lighter. It's almost white at the front there, really. And then you can add these little tufty bits on the top, very lightly with your pencil you've got in your hand. And then we're going to add like little eyebrows on our eye. You're going to press and then flick, press, flick, press, flick. What have I got here? 2B. I'm actually go with my 5B. So you press there and then you just flick it. Press, flick. That's how I do eyelashes. Press, flick. So you get that kind of, it's not a line, you get this nice sort of flicking feathers. It's kind of his red breast should be the brightest and the darkest part of all this. And then we're just going to go over that pencil again. I'm going to turn it on the side. And I'm going to go down. Get some. This is the 2B, actually. I'm doing 5B. 5B. And as you come towards this part, you just lighten the pressure. So it's almost white. I'm not going to colour it all in. So that overlaps that. So that's dark under there. So you just press a bit harder. And then as you come this way towards the light source, you just lighten the pressure on your pencil. And then press it dark down there. So the ends of these feathers, you can just press and get it nice and dark. And it's all about the pressure on the pencil when you're drawing with pencil. So you're just lighting it very slowly as you move backwards and forwards. And I turn mine to the side because I think it works better. And then that lays on top of that. So that's dark there. Just look where your dark and lights are. It's going to come down to a point. Turn our pencil around again. And that's light there. Just gently lighten the pressure. I'm going to add this body on before I do the tail. So this is dark under here. Short trimmy body. And as you come towards the front here, it just gets lighter. It's just lighten the pressure on your pencil. And that's it. You can go in and press hard. Turn that way to get a nice crisp line. If you turn it this way vertically like a normal pencil, you get a nice crisp line. It's harder to work to the side, but you can cover more area if you turn it on its side. More area more quickly, should I say. You don't have to. Some people like to work with it like this the whole time. It's really down to personal choice. You just create these little feathers with your pencil. And obviously I've got this little tail here. So I'm just going to get one line like that and turn my pencil like so. And I just create the feathers with my pencil as I turn it the other way. So, and then these little feet, you can just draw the shadow. Remember where the light's coming from. They don't really need to be overthought. And then the rocks, the same, the light's coming from the right, so the side of the rock's dark. I'm working with my 5B actually, it seems to be the pencil that works. And then just lighten the pressure as you get over to the right hand side. Obviously you don't have to have my rocks, you can pop him on whatever you like. He will work on lots of things. I said I've had people put them on Christmas puddings, I've had people put them on flower pots, I've had people put them on spades, tree stumps, all sorts. So I'll let your imagination do that. So I'm literally going for these stones and doing the left hand side, as you can see, dark. And as I move over to the right, I'm just lightening the pressure on the pencil. Just give it a bit darker under each of those little rocks. They're all sitting on top of each other. And you can put them on a bit of gloves if you want, whatever. And the same with these mistletoe. It's the same as you did it with the colour pencils. Just think about where the light source is coming from. So it's dark on this side. I'm still with my 5B. It seems to be the pencil that actually will work. It's just literally how much pressure you are applying to it will give you the shadows that you want on it. So under those is dark and comes out. You can change your pencil if you're not happy with the 5B. Just let you decide what you like to work with, really. It's quite a soft pencil, but it does work. It gives you a nice dark. I have got all the way up to a 9B in here. Apparently they will make a 14B now. It must be really quite dark. Quite cool actually for doing pencil drawings. Let's do this one around here. So yeah, just think about where your light source is coming from and just giving yourself just going underneath the berries. That's where it's quite dark. And then you can add a bit of shadow on the berry once you've done that, if you want. It's easy to do it that way around because then you see how dark you need to go with the berry. So you hardly need to put any pencil on once you've done that. Yeah, there we go. There is the pencil one. So I literally use two. I use a 2B and H3, so an HB, 5B and a 2B to do the pencil one. So you have three. You have pencil one. You have the pencil crayon one. And you have so have fun. Let me know how you get on and send through. I'd love to see what variations you come up with.